remember a time before smartphones, before the internet, before every second of your day was scheduled. For us Gen X kids, the world was our playground, and the streetlights were our curfew. Phil had a different kind of social network, one that involved scraped knees, grass-stained jeans, and yelling at the top of our lungs. The game? Oh, the game was legendary. Kit was kick the can. Now, for those of you who grew up with organized sports and playdates, this might sound a little chaotic, and you'd be right. But it was our chaos, and we loved it. The rules were simple, passed down from older siblings like a sacred text. First, you needed a can. An old coffee can, a soup can, anything that made a good, satisfying clang when you kicked it. Next, you needed a base. This was usually a landmark everyone knew. For us, it was the third light pole from the corner of my street. We'd draw a big imaginary circle around it, maybe 10 feet wide. That was home base, the safe zone, the heart of the game. Then, you had to pick who was it. This was a ritual in itself. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or maybe a high-stakes game of rock, paper. Nobody wanted to be it, but somebody had to be. Once chosen, the person who was it would stand at the can, close their eyes, and count. Usually to 100, but sometimes we'd negotiate down to 50 if it was getting dark. While it was counting, everyone else would scatter like startled birds. You'd dive behind bushes, shimmy up trees, or squeeze into the tight space between the garage and the fence. My personal favorite spot was behind Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning rose bushes. She didn't love it, but hey, it was a war zone out there. Finding the perfect hiding spot was an art form. You needed cover, but you also needed a clear line of sight to the can. You had to be a ghost, a shadow. For once the counting was done, the hunt began. The person who was it would leave the can and start searching for the hiders. When they spotted someone, they'd race back to the can, slam their foot down on it, and yell, 1, 2, 3 on Kevin, behind the oak tree. And just like that, Kevin was caught. He'd have to go stand by the light pole, in what we called jail. By one, it would round up the neighborhood kids, and the jail would get more and more crowded. Now, here's where the magic happened. This wasn't just a game of hide and seek. This was a rescue mission. For those of us still hiding, our objective was clear. We had to free our friends. The only way to do that was to pull off the most daring move of all that can kick. You'd wait, heart pounding in your chest, watching the person who was it get further and further away from the base. It was a calculated risk. You had to be fast, you had to be stealthy. You'd creep out of your hiding spot, low to the ground, moving from shadow to shadow. The tension was insane. Everyone in jail would be watching, holding their breath, silently cheering you on. The person who was it might sense something was up and start heading back. It was a race against time. And then, you'd make your move. A full-on sprint, a desperate dash for the can. The world would go into slow motion. All you could hear was your own breathing and the pounding of your feet on the pavement. You'd swing your leg back and set. That beautiful, glorious sound of your sneaker connecting with the metal can. It would go flying, sometimes halfway down the block, with a loud, echoing clang. And at that exact moment, you'd scream the magic words, A, la, in free. It was a signal, a battle cry. Absolute pandemonium would erupt. Everyone in jail was suddenly free. They'd scatter in all directions, laughing and screaming, trying to find new hiding spots before it could retrieve the can, put it back on the base, and start the whole process over again. The hero who kicked the can would usually get the best head start, disappearing into the twilight like a legend. Sometimes you'd make it, and sometimes you'd get caught a minute later. But for that one shining moment, you were the savior. You We're the king of the neighborhood. We'd play for hours. The sun would set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The streetlights would flicker on, one by one, casting long, eerie shadows that made the game even more exciting. The only thing that could stop a game of kick the can was the chorus of parental voices echoing through the neighborhood. David, time for dinner. Jessica, get inside. It's a school night. Slowly, we'd all trickle back to our respective houses, exhausted, dirty, but with huge smiles on our faces. We didn't have group chats to rehash the game. We just knew we'd be back out there the next day, ready for another round. It was more than just a game. It taught us strategy, bravery, and teamwork. It taught us how to be a hero, and it taught us how to wait for one. Those nights, playing under the stars, with nothing but a can and a set of unwritten rules, that was our childhood. No screens, no schedules, just pure, unadulterated fun. It was a simpler time, for sure. And if you ever find an old coffee can lying around, give it a good kick. For as Gen X says, it's the sound of freedom. Thanks for taking this trip down memory lane with me. If you have stories about the games you used to play, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from a time gone by. See you next time!